Hi, I'm Rob, and in this Gems of War video, I'm going to take a look in the Soulforge and tell you what I think are the best weapons and indeed the best troops to craft from there. Also be taking a look at this weekly event troop, the Barlock. Let's take a little look. Eliminate magic +1 from a random skill on 2 random enemies boosted by enraged allies. All enemies lose 2 random skill points, immune to death mark, and gain 1 magic when an ally casts a spell. So, a interesting spell that. One thing to note is that on the upgraded spell part of this, because this is a shiny troop, that is going to eliminate that magic +1 from a random skill on 3 random enemies. And that actually makes this actually very interesting indeed, because you can imagine possibly with maybe a couple of these, that's going to be eliminating the enemy stats pretty quickly. Because if that goes on the enemy's life, that is effectively true damage. If it goes on their armor, it's like normal damage. If it takes away their attack, it renders skulls useless pretty quickly. And if it goes on magic, then it renders their spell damage or spell effect irrelevant pretty quickly. So yeah, sort of got a little bit of potential there somewhere, but yeah, sort of sitting on the fence a bit on this till I try it properly. 5 out of 10 for Barlock. But get it anyway, because always good to get another troop. Thank you very much. Right, anyway, what do you call a fish with no eyes? A fish. Oh, I'm in a funny mood this morning. But someone did steal my mood ring. Yep, they stole my mood ring. Still don't know how I feel about it though. Oh dear. Right, let's pop into the Soulforge. Let's take a look at the weapons first. Let's take a look at the weapons first. What we got? So all the ones that are here all the time, I'm not going to go over again because they're in my Soulforge extra video. Stuff that's here on a regular basis, so check that out if you want to hear about them. But first up we have Stone Sword. Deal magic based damage to the first enemy and deal triple damage if they use blue mana. So if that's against an all blue team, that's actually pretty effective, like triple damage all day long. Not bad, not bad, not bad. What else we got? Razor Claw. Does magic based damage to an enemy boosted by Skyer allies, then create a mix of 6 green and brown gems for each Skyer ally. Uses red and yellow, creates green and brown. So make sure at least you have a couple more troops in your team that use green and brown to make sure of all that mana, and then you'll yeah, create a lot of mana with those kind of things. Axe of the North, very similar. Does magic based damage to an enemy boosted by Urska allies this time. Then create a mix of 6 green and brown gems for each Urska ally. So similar, but this uses blue and red, creates green and brown. Make sure you're using at least 1 or 2 other troops that use green and or brown. And notice this gets the boost on those mana gen based on each Urska ally, where this one gets it on each Skyer ally. Skyer is the kingdom, Urska is the troop type. So yeah, new players pay attention to that because it's easy to get them things in a bit of a muddle. Aegeus of Skyer. This is kind of the anti-Skyer weapon in a way. Remove all brown gems, which is a colour that our Skyer troops like the most. Then deal magic based damage to an enemy boosted by the amount of gems removed. If the enemy is from Skyer or if the battle is in Skyer, deal double damage. So uses a small amount of mana as well, so it can be very useful given those situations if they come up. Doomed Baton. It's one of those doomed weapons which is rubbish at the lower level, then really, really good at the higher level. Create 4 purple gems, plus one gem per tempering level. Then give magic +1 armor to all the brown allies. If the enemy has a doom, eliminate all armor from a random enemy. So the creation of the purple gems at the highest level is like really, really good. Very high chances of a extra turn if there's a good amount of purple on the board already and generating tons of mana. And if the enemy has a doom, eliminate armor from a random enemy is decent as well, if the enemy has a doom. But just on the mana creation alone, that is actually pretty decent, as well as give that life to brown allies. So all those things combining together, if they all come together in a perfect storm, the Doomed Baton is actually a very good weapon when it's fully tempered up. Erskine Cleaver. Exploding magic +1 brown gems. Grant a random status effect to all Urska allies, then summon a Urska troop. So a nice explodey, summony weapons. Do like these things. Very handy indeed. Do like it. Wonder Stars. This is here all the time, but it's not in my Soulforge extra video because it came along after I made that video. But if you've got enough resources to make it, just make it. It's one of the best, if not the best, weapons in the game. Very reliable mana gen, can backfire sometimes, but it's generally really good. Create 6 elemental stars and bless all allies, or create 7 umbral stars and curse all enemies. The fact you've got that combination of the cleanse effectively and the curse, it's just great. And as I say, makes absolutely stacks of mana at the same time, most of the time. But it can backfire, but generally it's absolutely great. Anything else? Ruthless Defense. Explode magic +1 brown gems. Grant a random status effect to all Skya allies, then summon a Skya troop. So another explodey summony weapon. Very nice indeed. Always worth grabbing those kind of things. And what else we got? The Ruby Macaque is here all the time, but I don't think that's in my Soulforge extra video. I can't actually remember. But yeah, another absolutely amazing weapon. Totally worth crafting if you can. Alright, so let's pop over to the troops and see what we got. If you're newer to the game or not been playing that long, go through all these summoning stones ones, see if there's anybody good in there which you are missing, and maybe roll the dice a few times, spend some of those green summoning stones, red summoning stones, whatever is required to pick up possibly a new troop. New troops all add to your progress in the game, and totally worth the gamble if you're missing anybody. Yeah, but let's take a look at the mythics first. Who have we got today? We have Scoprio. It's the same as before. I'm not going over all the troops that are here on a regular basis. They're in my Soulforge extra video. But Scoprio does magic-based true damage to an enemy, inflicts poison and 3 stacks of bleed on them. If they're already poisoned, there's a 50% chance to kill them. Celestial Sting is the best out of a not very good bunch of traits. Give 4 attack to all green allies when matching 4 gems, and reduce damage from skulls is okay. But yeah, it's just a bit disappointing. This is my star sign mythic on my Scorpio. I was hoping it was going to be something good, but it just doesn't compare to Scorpius. Like, Scorpius will just automatically kill the last 2 enemies if they're already poisoned, but this does damage to an enemy. You can pick that enemy and inflict poison and 3 stacks of bleed, but if they're already poisoned, there's only a 50% chance to kill them. Like, Scorpius would just definitely 100% kill the last 2 enemies if they're poisoned. This only does it to 1 and only a 50% chance. So yeah, I know it does that true damage as well, but yeah, it's just nowhere near as good as Scorpius, unfortunately. Tihamata, homage to the old classic cartoon series Dungeons and Dragons. Tiamat does magic-based damage to all enemies, then creates 3 × 4 wild cards. They can go very well if they work in your favour. If not, they can set up the enemy instead, so it can go against you, that one part of that spell. Gain 10 life when an enemy casts a spell is a bit annoying. It's like, don't want stuff to happen to me when the enemy gets to do stuff. And 25% chance to create a ×2 wild card when matching 4 or more gems works well in a loopy type team, and it's reasonably tough in first place or just from skull damage in general, with reduced damage from skulls by 30%. But yeah, still not quite as good as I would have hoped. Tihamata. Champion of Gaard. Not to be underrated, this is very tanky in its traits. Reduce damage from spells by 50%, reduce damage from skulls by 60%, and all red allies gain 1 to all stats at the start of each turn. That is actually pretty decent because he uses red himself, and it does gain magic-based armor, and if there's 13 or more skulls, give double the armor. Then create a mix of 22 blue and red gems. So it can actually self-charge and do that again. But it's that Blessing of Gaard which can catch people out sometimes. If you're fighting this and it's lower down the order, particularly in 3rd or 4th place, something like that, and you don't pay attention to it, you can actually get to a situation in the game where, because it's just continuously getting that Blessing of Gaard all the time, that it makes it almost impossible to kill sometimes unless you've got an instant kill troop. It's just because it keeps on gaining that armor, it keeps on boosting itself up, it keeps on gaining that little bit of stats every single time, and it can just make it an absolute nightmare to try and get rid of. So not too bad, Champion of Gaard. A little bit underrated, I think. And the awesome Tina-9000, absolutely fantastic troop, dealing magic-based true damage to 3 random enemies, then gaining a huge bunch of armor at the same time. The thing with that damage is it is 3 random enemies, so sometimes it will go a little bit against you. So you may dance around the people you really want to hit with that damage, but another time she'll actually hit somebody 2 or 3 times in a row and take out the enemy Sitharask or Zul'Goth, like in a single cast. Like really, really cool. And some excellent traits as well. First one, bit rubbish because only activates when you die. Second one, really good. Reduce damage from spells by 50%. And the last one, add 50% of armor to skull damage. That is really, really cool too. So who do we have from the legendaries? We have Goblin King. Usually say don't craft legendaries using diamonds. Save your hardened diamonds for the mythics, because legendaries pop up easier in chests. So save your diamonds for mythics mainly, unless it's somebody absolutely essential like a Yao Guai or a Tesla. But anyway, Goblin King removes all gems of a chosen colour, gains 8 life boosted by the gems removed at a 2-to-1 ratio, summon a goblin and gain an extra turn. So not too bad. Removing gems, that can actually, if you do that carefully, you can actually get a gem match from that. So taking away the gem, which is going to create a gem match or possibly an extra turn afterwards, or removing the colour gem the enemy likes the most, that kind of thing. Very useful. Gains a bunch of life, summon, extra turn, 20 life if in last position. Yeah, not bad. Spooky Imp. Dealing what looks like a low amount of scatter damage to all enemies, and either transform a random enemy into a wraith, or all allies gain 3 magic. So that's like a 50-50 chance to just transform one of the enemies into a wraith. The wraith is not a terrible troop, but the chances are it's not going to be anywhere near as bad as the troops on the enemy side. So you got that damage as well as basically a 50-50 chance to transform an enemy, which is actually very good indeed. And the traits, the third one, really good. Gain 8 magic on purple gem matches, really good. Get this in a loopy doopy purple team, and that scatter damage can actually go up very, very quickly indeed. It's not on 4 matches or anything like that, it's just on normal purple matches. Very good. And magic link as well. Gain a bonus purple mana from purple gem matches is very cool as well. So Spooky Imp, another really cool troop in here today. And who are the last 2? Zernabog. Really cool troop. Love this in a construct geomancer team in particular. Creates 10 brown gems and explodes magic plus 1 gems. Traits are decent as well. Reduce damage from skulls by 50%. And conjure a dust storm when my turn begins is brown. And it's when my turn begins, not at the start of battle. Start of battle can be overwritten by somebody else's storm really quickly, or immediately even. But this is when my turn begins. So absolutely superb. A brown storm constantly, all the while Zernabog is in the team. And like I say, in a brown construct geomancer team, for example, Zernabog, absolutely fantastic troop. And last not least, we have the Guardian Dragon, dealing magic based damage to all enemies and gain 5 armor. Gain 8 armor when matching red gems. So yeah, not a bad dragon. But yeah, who gets my super coveted not Mythic of the week? Can't be Scoprio. No, not quite good enough, even though it is my star sign mythic. In fact, it's nowhere near good enough. Champion of Gaard's actually alright in lots of ways, but it can only really go to the mighty Tina-9000. Lots of true damage, and it can take out the most powerful enemies in a single cast if you get lucky. Gains a bunch of armor, has excellent traits at the same time. Works really good with 2 of these at the same time in a mech class. 50% mana star is easy to get as well. Really good. Tina-9000. I would get Tina-9000 if I was going to get a mythic today from the Soulforge. But there's a video. I'll be back later on with my world event team and under Spire video. But there it is. If you enjoyed this video, it'd be really cool if you bash that like and subscribe button. It really does help. But most of all, thanks for watching. And I'll catch you again next time. Bye for now.